Are you ready for bed? It's time to close your eyes and drift away into dreamland. But before we do that, let's talk about baths. You know, those relaxing pools of warm water that help us unwind after a long day? Well, today we're taking a trip back in time to ancient Rome and exploring what baths were like during that era. Imagine yourself as an average Roman citizen going about your daily routine. You've got your toga all set and ready to go. But first, it's off to the bathhouse for a nice scrub and a soak. Now, when you think of ancient Rome, you might picture gladiators fighting in a colosseum or emperors being assassinated in public. But what about their bathroom habits? Well, let me tell you, the public bathrooms in ancient Rome were not your typical porcelain throne. They were more like a community spa and social club rolled into one. And believe me, these places were bustling with activity. You'd have to navigate through clouds of steam and the scent of various oils and perfumes to find an empty bath. And even then, you might have to share it with someone else. Privacy was not really a thing in these public baths, so be prepared to strike up a conversation with your new bathing buddy. Don't worry, though, because in ancient Rome, everyone was equal in the bathhouse. Slaves, soldiers, and senators alike had to deal with the same cramped quarters and sometimes unpleasant company. So don't feel too bad about sneaking a peek at someone else's bathing routine. It was basically public entertainment. Now, while you're lounging in the tub, let's talk about the water itself. In ancient Rome, the water came from public fountains or aqueducts, and it wasn't exactly the cleanest. I mean, it was used for drinking, cleaning, and even watering crops. So you can imagine it wasn't the most sanitary. But hey, they had running water, so that was a plus. Just make sure you don't drink too much of it while you're in the bath, because you never knew what might be lurking inside. Speaking of lurking, there was always the chance that you might end up sharing your bath with something else. Rats, mice, and even stray dogs would often make their way into the public baths looking for a free soak and maybe a bite to eat. And don't even get me started on the insects. If you were unlucky enough to sit in a shady spot, you might find yourself covered in mosquitoes or other biting insects. But hey, it was all part of the experience. And if you were really brave, you might even enjoy the little nibbles. Let's say you've made it through the water, and now it's time to dry off. This is where things could get really interesting. In ancient Rome, drying off was done with a communal towel, and let me tell you, these towels were far from the soft, fluffy kind you find at home. They were more like large pieces of cloth that smelled like, well, everything. The communal towels were used for cleaning, drying, and even bathing, so they were definitely not the most hygienic. But hey, it was better than nothing, right? Plus, it gave you a chance to mingle with the other patrons and maybe pick up some gossip. Once you're all dried up and ready to go, it's time for the final step of the Roman bath experience, the oil massage. Now, this was probably the best part of the whole ordeal, because who doesn't love a good massage? The oil was often scented with things like olive oil or vinegar, and the massage itself was done with a special kind of scraper called a strigil. This tool was used to remove dirt, dead skin, and hair, and it might have been a little painful, but it was all worth it in the end. After the massage, you'd be feeling so relaxed and rejuvenated that you wouldn't even care if a rat ran across your face. But what if you wanted to take your bath experience to the next level? Well, ancient Rome had you covered, or rather uncovered, because they had public baths with hot tubs, saunas, and even cold plunges. These were the ultimate relaxation stations where you could unwind and let all your troubles melt away. Just be careful not to stay in the hot tub too long, because you might end up like one of the patrons who accidentally burned their skin. Yes, accidents did happen in the public baths, but hey, it's not like they had insurance back then. So you just had to hope that nothing bad happened. Of course, no bath experience is complete without some good old soap, and in ancient Rome, they had plenty of it. The Romans were known for their love of cleanliness, and they used soap for everything from washing their hands to cleaning their entire bodies. They even had special soaps for different parts of the body, like the face, underarms, and groin area. And let's be real, who doesn't love a good groin massage with some nice lavender soap? And let's not forget about the tools of the trade. In ancient Rome, they had all sorts of gadgets to make bath time more enjoyable, like metal scrapers for removing dirt and dead skin, wooden combs for detangling knots, and even handheld shower heads for rinsing off. They even had fancy bath salts made from things like sea kelp and volcanic ash, which might sound weird, but hey, it was all the rage back then. As you're soaking in the tub, let's talk about the decor. Because who says bathhouses can't be stylish? In ancient Rome, the walls were often decorated with beautiful mosaics, frescoes, and statues, and the floors were made of marble or other fancy materials. They even had heated floors in some bathhouses, which was pretty fancy back then. But don't worry, you won't be tripping over any expensive artwork while you're in the bath. The patrons usually dressed when they went into the main areas of the bathhouse, but they preferred to bathe in the nude, so you wouldn't want to block anyone's view with your bulky toga. So there you have it. Bathing in ancient Rome was definitely not like it is today. There were no private bathrooms, no fluffy towels, and no indoor plumbing. But it was a unique experience that was definitely worth trying out. Now it's time to dry off and get ready for bed. Sweet dreams, my friends. This has been The Boring History for Sleep. Join us every week for new stories of the past that will make you sleepy. Subscribe now and be the first to know when we release our next episode. And remember, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and share with a friend. We'll see you next time.